What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we did find out about Nintendo's playable games at E3, and it seemed to be causing a bit of an uproar online because they're missing a game that a lot of people figured would be playable and shown off. And we're going to talk a bit about that, maybe why you don't really need to worry as much at E3 about that game. And then we also have to talk a bit about Stadia because we found out a bit more information about the data caps and some of the issues that's there. And then I also wanted to finish up today with something to look forward to for the Microsoft presentation because there seems to be a lot of smoke around a certain character that could be finally coming back, which we'll go over. Something to look forward to going into Microsoft's presentation, considering, well, we won't have another news wave until after that takes place. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Make sure to hit the like button. It does help out. We're actually going to start today with Baldurs Gate 3. It was announced at the Google Stadia event, if you remember. We talked a bit about it here in a previous video where we had the time, the date, and the announcement of Baldurs Gate 3 all correct. So good news there. Baldurs Gate 3 is interesting because it is a game that, in a series that's been kind of missing for a while. They've done the enhanced editions and everything, and it is going to be a PC game as well as Stadia. So don't worry, it's not just a Stadia game, which might make some people kind of happy there. But what's interesting is throughout the press release and the description of it, they do mention that there will be full single player and full multiplayer as well. So we're still waiting for full gameplay and everything. The cinematic trailer they put out was interesting, but we're still waiting just to see how it all plays and what it looks like and everything. Maybe we'll see it at E3 a little further. We'll find out. Also, we had some big news for Destiny 2 players. Now, I haven't played Destiny 2 in a while. I played it when it first came out and then kind of fell out of it, but people are still playing it pretty heavily, and Bungie made the announcement that it is leaving Battle.net, which makes sense considering them and Activision split, and they got to keep Destiny 2. What's also interesting here is they're taking Destiny 2 and they're making it free to play. So there's like a base edition that you can get, and they announced Shadowkeep, which is like the new expansion, and it's going to Steam, which is also really funny there because they took a little shot at the Epic Game Store saying we needed an Epic partner, and they're going to Steam. There is a lot to like about how Bungie is handling, right now at least, the entirety of Destiny 2. Now, the free-to-play version appears to be available in September 17th, and then you can look forward to Shadowkeep as well. But interesting stuff there from Bungie, making some moves around that game to kind of, I would say, reinvigorate it some. I'm not saying it's completely, dead or anything, but it definitely fell off a bit for a lot of people. So the new expansion coming up, it going free to play, it leaving Battle.net and going to Steam, where a lot of people prefer it. A lot of good things there for Destiny 2. And get this, there's cross-save, cross-progression, cross-play between, you ready for this one, Xbox One, PC, Stadia, and PlayStation 4. They convinced Sony to do it, and that is pretty awesome. One, crossplay is slowly becoming the norm, and two, Bungie treating Destiny 2 right. We also have some news for Shenmue 3, where it does look like, at least in the source code for the site around the game, Xbox appears to be a platform of choice, which is odd because originally we thought it was just going to be a PlayStation 4 PC game, right? So you'd have released on either platforms. But it looks like maybe it won't just be a Sony exclusive game. Maybe it'll be a timed exclusive for the PlayStation brand. But seeing Xbox in the source code on the site for the game Shenmue 3 is telling. It kind of makes us believe it is leading up to that release. Now, it's just a quick little piece that people found, so we need to wait for a bit more information, because there's always a chance they could also announce at E3 that it could be coming later, or they might want to wait till after release on the PlayStation 4 and on PC to avoid any confusion and to avoid, well, kind of maybe slowing sales a bit, because some people with the X might wait. I also want to give a quick shout out to my friend Pedro. The game looks really cool. 2D looking Max Payne style game, and we got a release date June 20th. It's less than 2 weeks away, guys. Looks great. It's out on the Switch and PC that day, so exciting stuff. Just wanted to throw that in there for anyone who is waiting for the game. I have been, and I'm really excited to get a chance to play it as June 20th. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way. Let's get into the bigger stuff. We're moving kind of quick here because there is just a lot of stuff happening. I'm not even able to cover everything in Newswave because there's so much stuff going on, especially after THQ Nordic announced Darksiders Genesis. Now, we knew this was coming. I talked about it before. It had leaked out prior, then it leaked out again, but we didn't really know what it was going to be. We knew it was going to be a spin-off, but that was kind of it. I took a guess, okay, maybe a 2D style game, that would be neat. No, it's actually like a top-down Diablo style game, action RPG with loot, and this is pretty cool. The other really neat thing is, if you've been following the channel, you'll know I play all the Darksiders games. I like them a lot, but there's one Horseman of the Apocalypse we've been waiting for, and that's Strife. And this is Strife's game. Well, kinda. War is also gonna be a part of this. This apparently is going to be set in the events leading up to the first Darksiders game, but they showed several screenshots. There's a full trailer for it, and this, I'd say, looks really, really good. See, I'm excited at the idea of a Darksiders Diablo style game, and that's the thing about the Darksiders brand. They've kind of been playing around with different genres inside the series. So if you remember, the first one felt like exactly like a Zelda game. It really did. Like, if I didn't know any better, that was like a Zelda game, mature rated Zelda game. And then the second one, they threw in more RPG elements with different weapons and status ailments and everything, different things about your armor. And then the third one was very much like Dark Souls, like very much like Dark Souls. They actually updated it to kind of make it less like Dark Souls, and now they're moving into this genre where they're going to do the top-down action RPG style, and it's going to be really fun, I think. Now, there's still some questions I have about it because they didn't give us all the information. They did say it's coming out later this year, which is great, on the Xbox, the PlayStation 4, Switch, PC. It's basically out on everything, which is also really good. THQ Nordic, by the way, is like the one company that I see that like puts their stuff on everything. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but every time we get an announcement for one of their games, I just assume it's on like everything. We just had it with SpongeBob. I was like, oh, that's probably going to be on like all the and it was on everything. So here we are, Darksiders Genesis, same deal. Biomutant, like I said, is going to be the big, it's going to be the question mark, which we'll find out at E3 to see if they expand that to the Switch as well, and it's just on everything then. But good stuff here. I want to know if it's co-op, online co-op, all of that stuff, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. I want to play Strife. I want to learn more about the Darksiders lore, and having it set before the first Darksiders is really exciting as well. Next up, let's talk about Nintendo at E3 2019. Now, we knew there would be some playable booth set up, right, where you could walk up, you could play games. Well, I shouldn't say walk up, you stand in line for a while and then you get to play games for like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. They do have like their warp pipe set up where you can schedule times to be there, which for a lot of people is probably the way to go, because then you don't have to, of course, stand in line forever. You can do other things, then come to your allotted time period and play and then leave. But they have a full slide they put up on Twitter, as you're seeing here, that does talk about the games that will be playable. Both Pokemon games, which obviously that makes sense. Zelda Link's Awakening, that'll be fun. Luigi's Mansion 3, which gives me a lot of hope for that one, by the way, for its release date. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and then it just says, and more. The and more part, I think, is for some games that maybe haven't been announced yet that will be playable. I'm thinking, let's throw this out there, like a Pikmin 3, that weird Wii U port that we heard about. Then they do tell us, of course, the live stream schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have Nintendo Direct, and we have Treehouse, and then more Treehouse. Actually, what I like is that they do say Thursday is going to be Indie Day as well, so we'll have apparently plenty of stuff in the Treehouse for indie games as well. Kind of exciting there. I like the idea of that. But this kind of exploded into a lot of concern. The concern appears to be around Animal Crossing missing from this slide. I think the concern is that Animal Crossing is being delayed out of 2019. And while I don't think that's the case at all here, I'll kind of talk about this a little bit. So Animal Crossing has been demoed before, but Animal Crossing is a game that isn't played very well in like 10 or 15 minute increments. It's a slower paced game. You pretty much play it for a little while. It's relaxing and everything. I don't know if they can show you a lot in like 10 or 15 minute play sessions. I just don't think that's a thing. Whereas Zelda, that's pretty easy to do. You let someone run through a shortened dungeon. Pokemon, you can have them do some trainer battles. Luigi's Mansion, have them run through a floor. There's a bit more, it's a bit faster paced. I think the reason Animal Crossing is missing from this slide is because they probably won't have it playable. It'll probably be in the Treehouse. So they'll announce Animal Crossing's date, they'll give it a title, and then they'll work into the Treehouse with it, and they will play it and show us the game for like an hour. That's probably the easiest way for them to do it. Now, and more could mean that Animal Crossing is going to be playable. I just feel like they would have wanted to put it on the front there, because Animal Crossing Believe it or not, some people don't know this. Animal Crossing is one of their biggest franchises. It consistently on handhelds sells over 10 million copies every time. So I figured they would want to put it there if it's playable. I just don't think it's playable because they could get a bit more out of these games and they can move the lines through a bit quicker. But those are just my thoughts there. I expect to see it in the Treehouse. I expect to have a release date for 2019. I'm personally thinking somewhere around September, but we'll see. Next up, let's talk about Stadia, which was revealed yesterday, heavily with pricing, games, the whole thing, right? They even told us what kind of internet you need. It was a lot of stuff there. The Founders Edition, they showed off for $129. We might get that, and we can check it out here where we check out the controller. I really want to check the controller out, take that apart, and see what's going on. I kind of already know it's in like a Chromecast, but to see what's in the controller would be interesting, and maybe to test it out a bit and see if it actually is playable. But beyond that, if you are going to be playing these things in 4K, you're going to want to check with your ISP to see what your data cap is. So even if they tell you don't have a data cap, like Comcast doesn't necessarily tell me I have a data cap, but I know it's a 1 terabyte cap before they start asking questions and honestly getting annoyed with me. That seems to be the case there because I've come up very close to that and I've had emails sent to me saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are you getting close to 1 terabyte? So keep that in mind because, well, it looks like if you stream too much in 4K 60, you will run into that data cap a bit faster than you would think. Actually, they've done the math. See, if you look here, we actually saw PCGamer.com do the math and figure out that 1 terabyte of data is 65 hours. So your 4K streaming will use up the 1 terabyte of data in 65 hours. And how they figured that out was pretty straightforward. Google, of course, told us 35 megabits per second is what you would be needing at least to do 4K 60 HDR and surround and all that stuff. Now, will it need that the entire time? I'm not sure, but in order to get that number, they divided 35 megabits by 8 so they could get to bytes, which of course 8 bits are in a byte. From there, they figured out how many bytes were being used, megabytes were being used per second. They then multiplied that by 60 to get per minute. Then they multiplied that by another 60 to get to the hour, which at that point they could divide and figure out how many hours it would take to get to 1 terabyte, and it was 65 hours. Which now you may not, it's going to come down to if you think you would play 65 hours in a month. Some people would, right? But you have to also keep in mind that you will probably do other things on the internet outside of this, whether it's streaming Netflix. Maybe you're the type of person who wants to stream Stadia and watch Netflix at the same time. Maybe you're playing a slower game, maybe a faster one, you can multitask. That would also eat up your bandwidth pretty quick. You might get halfway through the month and realize you're about to hit your cap just because of this. So it is absolutely up to Comcast, to Verizon, to fix that if they are capping you in your area. Something tells me they're not jumping out of their seat to do that. Finally, guys, I want to leave you with something kind of interesting. There's been a lot of talk about BanjoKazooie, the franchise, the IP possibly coming back, and it's looking like it's actually a pretty strong possibility. Now, a lot of people are trying to figure out either way if it's going to be a Smash character, which is very possible. In fact, that seems to be the hint right now, is that Banjo is coming back to be a Smash character, or if he's going to get a game, a newer one, with Microsoft, which actually out of the two, I think that might be more likely. But, I mean, it'd be pretty cool if he was in Smash as well. Now, there have been rumors circulating like crazy, setting from Reset Era with Shinobi, and then also going back to the merchandising companies, as well as people on Twitter like Leaky Panda, basically hinting at it. It almost feels like the rumors of Witcher 3 and Banjo are like the worst kept secrets right now, with Witcher 3 on the Switch and then BanjoKazooie getting some sort of representation over E3. So I want to leave that with you guys. Look out on Microsoft's, their presentation coming up. Look for BanjoKazooie, as I'm thinking he will be either there or he'll be at Smash Ultimate. So something to look forward to there. And I also want to ask you guys what you think will be at Microsoft's presentation, as I kind of think at this point something like BanjoKazooie could be there, which is exciting. Let me know what you think could be there, as this is the last news wave going into it. And this will actually also take us into our comment of the day, as you're seeing here, where they do ask about Blinks, saying, now if Phil Spencer would just give us Blinks the Time Cat, that's from Radiant Burrito. Blinks was actually a pretty cool game. There were 2 of them, for I remember, on the original Xbox. I remember playing them, and I liked it. You would actually reverse time. Now, of course, we saw other games do that, like Prince of Persia and everything, but Blinks Blinks was an interesting style platform, and I really liked it, but it kind of disappeared. And you know what I've noticed? People like nostalgia with those type of games, as THQ Nordic is showing that. Who would have thought? You know, back in 2003, when you look on the shelf and you see SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, would you have thought that, you know, what, 17 years or so, 16 years from then, that people would have been going crazy online that was getting a remake? Probably not. But you never know the effects of these things until you actually try it. And honestly, I think Blinks would fit in really, really well on a Game Pass as like a quick little remaster or remake, just to say, hey, look, we've remade Blinks, or there's a brand new one. I mean, honestly, THQ Nordic is kind of killing it right now with their releases of older IPs, just kind of bringing them back up into the modern times. And Microsoft has quite a few of those they could do that with, and I think they should. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we've talked about, whether it's Animal Crossing missing at E3 for the playable section. Do you think it makes sense for Nintendo mostly to just show it off in the treehouse and keep the other games set up on the show floor, as it doesn't seem like they have a major overarching theme? Like they don't have something like a Mario Odyssey that the whole place is decked out in. Do you think it makes sense just to have Animal Crossing shown off by the people in Treehouse, the representatives, and then have people play Pokemon and Luigi's Mansion and stuff on the show floor? Very interested in that Luigi's Mansion footage, by the way. And then also let me know what you think about Stadia with 1 terabyte through 65 hours. Do you have a data cap that you would hit with that, or do you not have one at all? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.